That's Farina, right over there. She really is here all on her own.
Should what was meant to happen did happen after all. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Give up, Farina. There's no point in holding. I'm sorry. But what can I even do other than to repeat meaningless apologies over and over? Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina. It's just
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land. Why,
Farina, you were crying just now, weren't you?
what do you mean, tear stains? Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were? Did they even dare to tout their Archon? I must teach them a lesson. Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Maréchaussée Phantom are freaking out right next to them, too.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just some rabid That's against the rule.
Farina just ran off. Quick, we have to catch up with her. This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here. Quick!
What?
Hurry, they're almost here!
Fine, I suppose, hey... I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed.
Yep, that's a...
What's happening? The ground's shaking.
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson, didn't it?
It can't be.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Nouvellette's made some emergency plans, so the event...
Yeah, but the people of Poisson... It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for... I once had informants all over Tevat, searching for clues, and I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. Anything to keep the coastline from advancing. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way. Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. Indeed, I've thought about giving up so many times, especially after we almost lost Poisson. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and no bit, but just now, it all became clear to me. As long as the final moment hasn't, don't worry. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the strict. Don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly?
Come on! Paimon could have
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone. A witness. Yes, I've heard that you can. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a. I.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed.
So, this is what it is. Do not forget, however, that I am Fosalor, the god of justice.
May I interpret these words as your refusal? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through...
You would draw your blade against... I see. It seems like you have made up your...
Paimon can't believe it.
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an...
Wow. How...
Lady Farina!
It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear,
Looking for excuses again.
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of... I will admit that I'm sorry, everyone. You are not the only ones to be disappointed. But now, it is time I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the This time, I applaud and rejoice. One of the... Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine!
Woohoo!
Oh, now we're making... Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic...
All right, then. Who will...
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Also, please allow me to ask, just how much work did you do?
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather strict.
Navia, the president...
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as The people's resentment against their Archon has been building. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, so we arranged for a second...
So, you mean... the ones who scoured...
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may...
That's right. That house was a magic box.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first... The volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson was an Archon. My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such a... Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water.
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt...
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess, Nervila, you gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made all so that as soon as...
Yes, that is...
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. As for you, traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the stage.
Oh?
It's fine. It matters not. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial.
Madam Prosecutor, please allow me to... This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too. Oh, let Paimon see. Isn't the... Wait, then that means this document is... So in other words, we can refer to this anthology. Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, all right?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first... I did this as the fortune... I mean, the words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably only...
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervylette. There's no need. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my... Of course. It is only natural for humans to struggle to...
That's true, but my charge here is unrelated to you. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking our duty, but...
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to... Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. How can I... There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine...
Yeah, even though...
Yeah, I've never quit...
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they... See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me if you wish to drop the case, I can promise you...
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? You have to not only refute Farina's claims, but also overturn the long-held beliefs of the people.
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. And if I was not the Archon, then how...
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race.
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's words against me.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an... But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a...
Nervylette sensed it too, huh?
Lady Farina...
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell human...
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very...
You tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared Child to be guilty without any...
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are natural.
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current while the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come before all else. While you are an Archon, you will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital...
I never thought you'd use...
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules of...
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you, instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority...
The real Hydro Archon. It is true that I did not know why the Oratory, but the Oratories handed out that verdict unilaterally. And you can't argue that just because a divine...
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the Oratory.
My power as an Archon.
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection.
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons do. Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide every...
Isn't that?
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a...
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please don't. I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? Please.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a...
Did she deceive all of us?
Enough. That's enough. Tell me then, if you have no evidence of another...
Wow, she came up with... has been established that all Fontanians can dissolve in water from the...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here.
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partnership with...
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, including those of some of my closest friends. So, Miss Farina, would you dare to touch some of this seawater? If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching this seawater would have no effect on you. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the...
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years.
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontanian like all the rest of us.
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls out...
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate...
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word.
What's going on? Is she really planning to...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina.
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon!
Miss Siegewin? If you're present, Miss Siegewin, please come forward and attend...
Siegewin?
Don't be nervous. It'll just... That should...
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court, Miss...
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected...
Thank you, Miss Siegewin. Lady Farina, you may...
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved!
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the... However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve it. We don't want anyone else to lose their...
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample. It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used.
I can't believe... Listen to me, everyone! Please think about it! How can you conclusive... Also, if I was... Please, everyone, anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your Archon!
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's...
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone who's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is... guilty. We shall now turn to the Urteils mécanique d'analyse. According to the judgment of the Urteils mécanique de...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Urteils' verdict?
No, the Urteils also displays a...
Isn't that correct?
However, the exact wording of the verdict to be punished...
That's actually one of the available sentences?
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the...
Furina's been sentenced to death by the Urteils?
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definition, is this sentence really appropriate?
Yeah! Even Vacher wasn't sentenced to death by the Urteils. You know, the real evil mastermind...
Indeed. Not only is Furina's sentence overly excessive, but now, the Urteils seems to have deliberately invoked the...
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! You finally made it. I assume this means you've...
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigns to me will always be...
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine...
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. But has the trial already concluded? Then...
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left on... Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates. I would like you to come here and confirm their contents.
Huh? So what do you see? What is it?
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with...
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no. So when you say Hydro Archon...
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can... However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other three... Stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power, and then the Oceanids turn into humans. Does that mean that Fontanians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But the heavens... This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontanians were branded with their original sin. The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people. That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to... Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontanians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying on her throne, and so on. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that incident, it... quite right.
We know from the case of the series and the first this. Perhaps what is the truth and the original. It's not as when Navi the stones. The prophecy from the fortress. If we had.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater. Convert. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meripede was the surest sign that the stone slate's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine... Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now! But then it feels like we're going to have to...
Let's hear them.
Incredible.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she...
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably ate. That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be...
The Hydro Archon's true sin?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's...
Yeah! Isn't the image here just like with Navi? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also fall? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Only... Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already managed to connect so... However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional... When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But since we... Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative... I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and the sin of the Hydro Archon. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the seven, did not want to give in. She eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid. But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the...
So we were all OC
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to... Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin...
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontanian.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact. A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depict... They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted... The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of Trials and Justice. Instead, you may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate. Therefore, the meaning of the third, that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the... Yes, it refers to our...
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, even in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold. So now, it seems...
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be...
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions. About the fourth slate, you probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress... However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that as for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before. This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
It was both dream...
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be...
The truth, the original sin,
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it is chosen. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that it has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanids, She filled their blood vessels with primordial seawater.
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that harbinger for from the way he looked. He must have been fighting the creature for quite a long...
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. Even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could
We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is
Indeed. That's not how
I'll fight it to the end. No matter...
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes. What has been prophesied? Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat.
What's happening with the Urteils?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina! No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just...
You are not Farina.
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding...
Fusalo.
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I have the heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly...
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon. She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principle. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost I had to outwit the heavenly principles. Allow the prophecy. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation. But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than
So you were also once one of the Oceanids? Transformed?
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, she could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as if her strengths were of a kind only a human could. But in my eyes, Furina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. Anyway, so then, all part of the plan, of course. The plan to... Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Furina under the curse I placed on her. So long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is...
But Furina is only human. Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no I cannot begin to fathom what she has had.
It has indeed. And although she is innocent, it's been 500, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely. Oh? Who permitted you to come onto the stage? Now, I understand your... All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Do not... Oh, do not jest. Can you not feel it? I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontanians are...
Time to go.
Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough. Go the ship down!
One with nature.
Rise.
Into the wind. Time to go. The wind knows me.
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
Fallen leaves, adorn my night!
Quake! Order guide you.
Life goes on. Orders given. Orders received.
Fire hazard! Farina. Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are— Be not nervous. Be not afraid. Wait a moment. You're mirror me? How can— Mirror you, huh? Mirror me. The prophecy. What prophecy? Wait. The people will all be dissolved into the waters. Oh. What's going on? I can't seem— Yes, it will. But doesn't that mean everyone will die? Oh, don't worry. I will tell you how to save everyone. Oh, so that as for the suffering, well, but if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die if there were scales. I suppose this would also— Huh? Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Play at— That's right. You must begin a never— if you can keep it. But how will I do— Don't worry. What you must do, being a human yourself, remember, your true challenge. So how long to accomplish this mission? But I promise you, all— Trial, huh?